mean, you had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Yes, episode 62. Yes, claps all around from the Zoners. It is time to talk draft, but without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way in Aiken, Minnesota, from the Woods and Shore Studios, Paul Vold, the Shield. What's going on, Shield?
You know, it's funny that we're here on a Wednesday night that 5 years ago to the day we did our last Sports Zone show for SMSU Media, and we're doing our own thing here, talking NFL draft. It is crazy to even think about that we have gone 5 years now since that last show where we had the studio packed with everybody called in, but now we're here doing our thing. We're talking to cameras, trying to communicate with the world, yet here we are. Another great show we got lined up tonight.
It is another great show, and you know who was a part of that show when we were going? Not only was he a part of the show, he was our official Vikings aficionado, and, you know, obviously Voldy and I are aficionados ourselves, but we needed to get the expert opinion from Mikey Ryan. We welcome Mikey Ryan back. Welcome back, Mikey. It's time to talk draft. Let's get it pumped up around here.
Thanks for having me back. Dude, you guys keep letting me back. You let me talk Vikings. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Hey, and as the Kerf Doctor likes to say, why not? Why the heck not? So, without further ado, let's get it going with some Tater Tot hot take. First of all, we're talking draft. But after we play the video, we also have an announcement too, because this is something that we need to get, let the zoners know, because I think we're thinking giveaway here, Voldy. I think so. Let's get to that. So let's get it going with some Tater Tot hot take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
You're darn right. It is hot, and it is right out of the oven. Boys, before we get going, MinneZona is on the clock, okay? Zoners, that means you guys are on the clock as well. Tomorrow is the NFL draft. We got to get something off our chest here, okay? If a lot of the zoners give us their picks for number 14, we're going to be giving away none other than MinneZona stickers. And here's the thing. If you pick the right person at that time, and the thing is, there can be multiple winners. And as I've told Voldy, there can be multiple winners. We have tons of stickers that we can give out of your choice. We'll get them to you. And if you get it right, I mean, shoot, I might give one to myself if I get it right, or Mikey gets it right. Who knows? No. But anyway, all jokes aside, here's the thing, gentlemen. Once we get into this draft here, okay, and once the zoners get their stickers, if they're right, if they're not right, and we encourage the zoners to give us your thoughts and who they're going to pick as well in the comment section. Let us know. Let us help you, and we'll get it to you. So we'll go from there. All right, let's talk draft. Now, Mikey, since you are our guest, there's a lot to be said. There are a lot of needs that the Vikings have to address. Mm-hmm. A line. Defensive end is another need as well, and then maybe also looking at corner, Jeff Gladney, that deal as well. We got to be factoring that in. So, Mikey, tell me what are you thinking here? If you're Rick Spielman, if you're the Vikings at 14, what do you want to see happen here? What do you got?
There's a couple of options that they can do. What I want them to do, draft off offensive linemen. I mean, we've been asking them to do that forever. Like we got to address that need. It has to happen. But they could also, trade back into the round, or they could trade up as well. We have a plethora of picks at 4 that we could trade up into the first round and see if we could grab one of the coveted ones. But at 14, what I want them to see is draft an offensive lineman, and I have 2 prospects that they could take in Elijah Vera-Tucker or Chris Darrisaw, depending on what they want to do with Ezra Cleveland at guard. We could move him out to tackle, and that's where we take Vera-Tucker. He's been projected as a guard, and I can see him there. He's very good. He's top of the class at guard. But if we want to keep Ezra Cleveland at his position, which he played very well in last year, we take Christian Darrisaw. The only problem I can see with that is the Chargers are 1 spot ahead of us, and they also need offensive tackle, and they are highly coveting Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. And
that's kind of the big thing here, Mikey, is that, they're addressing the need right now because – sometimes the Vikings have done a lot of, okay, well, we can get by with this if we sign this guy. He's okay. No, this is the time to get the guys that you want to get. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that's the case. And we got some zoners already, coming in here. And by the way, zoners, if you're the Vikings right now, if you're at 14, if you get the pick right, you get a free sticker. You get a free sticker. So send it in whenever. We'll remind you and before we start the draft and everything like that. So let us know your pick who the Vikings taking at 14. So anyway, getting back to what Mikey was talking about. So I showed a little preview, Mikey, of what you were alluding to. But Mikey, tell me the 3 guys that you want to see the Vikings draft, and then the 3 guys you want to say, hey, I'm gonna pass on some of those guys. So, Mikey, enlighten us.
Yeah, I will. I already named 2 of them, and I kind of grouped them into one because just like how I said before, what we do with Ezra Cleveland, that really dictates which offensive lineman we draft at this position. Also what the Chargers do, and also what happens in the top of the draft as well. We're not going to get Sewell. We're not going to get Slater. Those guys are going top 10 picks. 100%. They're top of the class. They're going to be very hard to get unless we trade up. We could trade up and get one of those guys, and they'd be fantastic. But at this position, at 14, we have to take one of these 2. And if Darrisaw falls, I want Darrisaw because I like Cleveland at guard. But if he gets taken at 13 with the Chargers, we take Vera Tucker, and we're good to go. Another pick I could see, and he fits the Mike Zimmer mold, as he can play multiple positions. You can move him around, disguise him, do whatever you want with him, basically, is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame. The guy's a freak athlete. You can put him at nickel. You can put him at linebacker. Heck, you could probably put him at safety if you wanted to. You can disguise him wherever you want. He can kind of play like what Harrison Smith does right now, where he disguises himself all over the place, and it's hard for quarterbacks to decide what he's going to do. And Zimmer loves to disguise his defenses like that. So I could see him taking Koramoah there. He's a freak athlete, again, like I said. But another one we could see, we need defensive line help now, especially with Danielle Hunter allegedly being not happy with his contract, saying he's going to hold out unless he gets a new deal, or if he wants to get traded. We could take Kwity Paye out of Michigan. The first time I saw Kwity Paye that I was actually paying attention, he had 2 out of 3 back-to-back sacks against the Gophers. So that was fun to watch, unfortunately. But this guy, if for zoners, familiar name he reminds me of is Everson Griffin. He is big, he's fast, and he sheds blocks like paper. The offensive linemen aren't even there. So he could be a very freak athlete in the defensive front for us, and if we do keep Daniil and we want the tandem back of two fantastic outside pass rushers, then we have that with that. And then for picks that don't want to see, I'm gonna keep ranting. If it happens, he's projected to get a third spot because of Kyle Shanahan. But if he does fall and the Vikings do somehow take quarterback, I don't want to see Mac Jones, because he reminds me of what Kirk Cousins is right now. And Kirk Cousins is better than Mac Jones currently. But yeah, we could have him sit, but we would want like a freak athlete there. We would want someone like a Trey Lance if we were gonna take a like superstar quarterback, or we want someone or like a Justin Fields, someone who has that ability to just change games, kind of like how Patrick Mahomes does. We want someone of that caliber. He's once in a generation player, of course, but you have a couple of quarterbacks who can be of that ability in this draft if you wanted to take a quarterback. Right. I don't see them taking quarterback until maybe the later rounds, maybe try to get a backup. Kyle Trask's name has been thrown around a couple times. I'm okay with him if you take him in like the third or fourth round. A third round pick might be a little high. I would rather see him in the fourth round if we want to take him as a backup. But there's certainly options there. And then for cornerbacks, I don't want to see Caleb Farley. His ability is great.
Unless you want COVID. Just kidding.
Yeah,
no, just kidding.
Yeah, unless you want COVID. No, but Caleb Farley, his ability is there. I think he's a great player, but it's the same problem that we have with Mike Hughes. He's very injury prone right now. And for Mike Hughes, it's hard to keep him on the field. He's great when he is on the field, but he's only there for a couple games to like half the season at some points. And then so that's the only knock I have on him. We could, they could take a chance on his injury prone history, and maybe it works out for him, maybe it doesn't. But that's one player I don't want to see. And there's plenty of other cornerbacks in this draft that we could take.
Yeah.
And then wide receivers, unless we trade back, I don't really want us to pick a wide receiver. We got a home run hit with Justin Jefferson last time. We don't really need to spend another first round pick on another wide receiver just to go 3 deep. We could take someone in the third or fourth rounds if we're worried about, if we're worried about that third position, if we want more 11 personnel. And so I just don't think we take one of those wide receivers at that spot.
And at first I was thinking some of that, right before, like, it was probably like a couple months ago, I was like, ooh, Devontae Smith to the Vikings. I kind of like that with the 3. But at the same time, I don't want to I do not want to avoid the O-line position. And the thing is, I know the Curve Doctor has said this. I know Voldy I've said this too. In order for the Vikings to be successful, and if you're going to stick with Kirk, you need to have an O-line to protect him. Okay. Yep. And like you mentioned, Mikey, I think it's the Vera Tucker and Darrisaw. Those are the 2 guys that I'd be fine with and whatnot. But you have to address this. Unless you want to move back into the first round, you have a good chunk of picks to move up. But I feel like they're going to move in the second round. And I'm not going to, push the panic button per se if they don't take a tackle or a guard in the first round. They can move up to the second to get the guy that they want. So because it's Slick Rick, man. It's Slick Rick. You never know what could happen. So,
yep.
But anyway, Voldy, what are your thoughts on Mikey's 3 guys there, and then obviously his 3 questionable ones? What do you think?
Well, obviously the questionable guys are there for a reason, and given the situation of the Vikings, I don't think that Mac Jones, obviously coming from a program like Alabama, their quarterbacks have been pretty questionable over the years as well. You throw in guys like Christian, A.J. McCarron. You throw in Greg McElroy back in the day as well. Obviously, Jalen Hurts, he's still yet to fully prove himself a little bit. Tua's, obviously one of those projects that's going to take a few more years to fully get a grade out on him as well. Mac Jones could quite possibly fall into that same mold, or maybe he'll go out there and prove himself worthy of being an NFL starting quarterback. That's not the guy that the Vikings are looking for. And we were talking about before the show, before we get started with Mac Jones. I mean, he is like a Kirk Cousins, and the Vikings already have a Kirk Cousins. We don't need two of them on the team as well. I like that comment that Mikey made. But I think for the guys that are up there that we are looking at, obviously the strong position right away is going to be the offensive line. And Darisaw or, Vera Tucker as well are definitely very strong picks to be looking at as well. And again, looking at if Rashawn Slater is there, it would be a very big surprise in that regard. I highly doubt that he'll be down to 14. If he does fall down to 14, something's going on, or maybe one of those character clauses that ends up coming back to hurt him as well. I think overall, especially the defensive end position too, or at least one of those athletic positions that we've been talking about too. The Vikings supposedly are going to have some guys back this coming year that either opted out or were hurt, or even made some moves in the free agency market as well. I mean, did sign Tomlinson, and Pierce is coming back after opting out this year. So the D-line's going to be beefed up in certain areas. Maybe the defensive back position as well. We don't know the full situation with Gladney and the ramifications of that. Again, did get back a couple of guys. Free agency has been good to the Vikings. Is something that Vikings fans haven't said very well in a long time, that free agency has been kind to them, with Mackenzie Alexander and Patrick Peterson coming into the fold to play for Mike Zimmer. A lot of defensive guys actually this offseason have signed to play with the Vikings too. I think the O-line has got to be the focal point here for pick number 14.
Line. Curve Doctor right now is just counting off his fingers. The thing is that, I talked to Curve Doctor before we got the show going, and he goes, honestly, I think what they should do is just take best available O-line in each round. Just keep going. Just keep going. But, that's just that. It's all in good fun, but obviously they need to address it. Okay, I want to get to the zoners here, though. Easy A says O-line. Okay, so obviously we're all thinking that too. Yep. Cody Curtis, got to take O-line. Get my guy from USC. Pick lock. Okay, so Cody has taken Elijah Vera Tucker for the Vikings to take at 14. He has entered himself in to win a free MinneZona sticker. So hopefully we can get that going. Jimbo says late round QB, Kellen Mond. Are we saying yes or no? Is that a draft yes or no? But either way, I mean, I've heard good things about Mond, I will say. But anyway, obviously we're looking at this from, okay, this is where I think you're going either O-line or you're going defensive end, right? Mm-hmm. So let me jump in here and say, you take either, but you have to plan for what you're going to do in the second round. You don't have a second round pick right now. So Slick Rick has been very good at trading back. He's traded up too, so let's not forget that. If the Vikings decide to trade up into the second round, that is very good news for them. And it means they're going to get a guy that's hopefully going to be ready to go come week 1. Hopefully. But, again, there's always risk with it, too. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking of, okay, let's just go with the safe pay, Vera Tucker if he falls, everything like that. And I think he'll be there. But, guys, we talked about this before we started the show. The last USC tackle that we took, offensive tackle, I should say, did not pan out. He had a stellar rookie season. He was a Pro Bowler. But Mr. Matt Khalil did not pan out. Now, I don't want to say, will history repeat itself, because I don't want to go down that route. We've gone down that route many times with this team. But, Mikey, let me ask you, and then then Voldy, if you want to chime in on this too. If they do take Vera Tucker, do you think that it's gonna be a different situation than the Khalil situation? What do you think?
I think it will, just based because of he's going to play a different position. Khalil was an offensive tackle, always will be. If he is still in the league, I'm not 100% sure about that, actually.
I don't think so.
But I think it'll be different just because he's playing a different position. You know, the transition between tackle and a guard is very different. It's a very different position just based off of like what your foot movements are, where your hand placements are, like what your hips are doing, whatever, like all the technique. It's very similar, but it's tweaked, and that tweak is massive for an offensive lineman, especially one in the NFL, because you've been practicing it for so much. So I think it'll be different just based off position alone. Vera Tucker, he hasn't given me the same vibes that Matt Khalil has. Like, I've been watching his film, and they play very differently, where Vera Tucker, he can recover if he needs to. I've seen him multiple times where he'll get beat, but he has such a good balance that he can like kick set behind him and get back into position to save the rep. I've seen that multiple times on film where he does that, which is very good. The only question I have about him is he plays very high. He has high pad level, but if you transition him to guard, it can help a lot, because usually when you're playing with high pad level, it's because you don't have you're worried about them beating you with speed at the tackle position. So you're trying to kick set back farther. And so you're standing up higher so you can get that length in your kick set. Whereas as a guard, you don't have to worry about kicking so far back. You just got to keep the guy in front of you. That's why I think it'll be different there.
I hope so. I think we all hope so. So, Voldy, anything to add to that?
No, I just think that, we would like to think times have changed, especially with USC linemen. Obviously, the fact that last time that came around, I think we're looking almost at shy of a decade when that came around with Matt Khalil.
Yeah.
Let's just be lucky as well that the fact that the Vikings didn't get the opportunity to draft Sean Terrell Henderson back in the day, too, when he was a top prospect for out of originally USC, then he went to Miami, and the whole Lane Kiffin situation there, that was a lifetime ago as well. But I just think with Vera Tucker, I think we'd all like to think that this time around things would be different. So we're going to go with that.
Let's go with that. Let's keep our fingers crossed, because, again, I'm still going back and forth. I told you guys before the show, I'm still going back and forth of who I think they should pick. So, Mikey, let's get to you. Let's get your prediction. What did Teddy trade do to the draft board? That's true. I mean, traded back in the first round to get Teddy, so that's another thing to think of as well. But Mikey, let's get it going. What is your prediction with the 14th pick of the 2021 NFL Draft? The Minnesota Vikings select.
I'm going to go with Vera Tucker right now. I said one of the offensive linemen, but my gut feeling is Vera Tucker just because of what the Chargers are going to do with Darisaw. I think they're going to take him. So I'm saying they're going to get Elijah Vera Tucker at 14.
Elijah Vera Tucker at 14. Voldy, who do you got?
Yeah, man, I kind of flip-flopping between the links that I've been looking at of who is going to do what and everything. I want to say Vera Tucker, just because of the fact he's the guy that seems to be the most likable out of all the experts that are out there too. But some are even looking at that Phillips guy from Miami, if he's still going to be there. But I think it's too early for the Vikings to go after a defensive end and a lineman as well on the defensive side. But I'm definitely going to go with Vera Tucker as well.
All right, Vera Tucker. It's the thing is like, we could go across the board here. I mean, Cody's picking Vera Tucker. Everyone else I feel like speaking. Maybe Jimbo. Maybe if Jimbo wants to chime in too. If he's what he's thinking. But we want the zoners to chime in too. And if you do, if you pick the guy that you want and you get it right tomorrow, you get a free MinneZona sticker. A free MinneZona sticker. We got them for you. We'll get them to you. So go right ahead in the comments. You could win a free MinneZona sticker if you guess it right. Okay, guys, it's my turn now. Obviously, people are like, oh, it's going to be a wash, Vera Tucker and everything like that. I'm going to play devil's advocate on this one, gentlemen. Mm-hmm. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Jimbo says Slater is my pick at 14. I think it's possible. It's possible.
All right.
And we talked about before, too, guys, before I get to my pick. We talked about that he doesn't have long of a reach with Slater, But that was the same deal with Tristan Wirfs last year. And look where they at. They won a Super Bowl. So there's that. And he did really well in his first year. So I'm playing devil's advocate here. And a lot of people were saying, Jalen Phillips. The deal is with Jalen Phillips is I don't like the way that they talk about him off the field. He's had some issues off the field now, and I'm not too big on that, okay? And there's a lot of guys that are actually saying that he's going to come to the Vikings. Now, I know Zim has been known to bring in guys with a lot of trouble and everything like that and been able to mold them into great players. But here's where I combat that. And I truly believe if Voldy's wearing this right now, Danielle Hunter is going to be a Minnesota Viking next year, okay? I believe it. I don't want to, throw. I'm feeling Danielle. I'm hoping that he stays with the Vikings. But we need another guy on the other side. And here's the thing, guys. I'm fine if we get Vera Tucker. I'm totally fine if we get Vera Tucker. But the one thing we haven't brought up, and I know, Mikey, you put him on the screen here, but I'm going to go with Kwity Paye. And the reason why I'm going with him is because, who does he remind you of again, Mikey? What did you say before?
I said Everson Griffin.
Everson Griffin.
Your boy.
Now, if we want to combine that with Danielle Hunter, DJ Wanham, let's do it, man. I mean, Zim is loving this defensive line right now with Pierce, Tomlinson, Danielle, Wanham, and Paye if they go out and get Paye. Now, I'm not saying that if they get Paye, then what do you do about the O-line, DJ Matty C? You trade up in the second round. Quinn Meinerz, you got to look at that guy. Yes, he played center, but I think you kick him to guard. You bring in Cleveland at left tackle and see what Cleveland can do. So I'm going to go with Paye, gentlemen. I think this guy, he's done really well with Michigan, and I think that Zim is going to love him, and we're going to go with that. I'm playing devil's advocate, gentlemen. I think that's where they're going to go, and if they don't, I'm fine with Vera Tucker. Let's go. Let's play. So, but like I said, the zoners. Oh, hold on. We're on. Izzy is about to get that MinneZona hoodie. Let's go. Let's go.
Here we go.
Let's get these. Let's order these puppies and let's get it rolling. And I know there's other people that want them too. So let's go get that MinneZona. It's very comfortable, by the way. So, all right. Anyway, one last thing before we move on to Infinity rankings, and I'm gonna get into. We're sticking with draft in that one. But we talked about this last week. Voldy and I did. But Mikey, we want your input. If Trey Lance is there at 14, do you take him? Yes or no?
Oh, it's that is a tough question. Do I think they take him? I think you have to take a chance. He's got all the ability in the world to play quarterback at that position. He's like, I watched him at North Dakota. He was crazy in 2019. He didn't throw an interception. I know people talk about he has trouble with the deep ball. He has trouble with his accuracy. Those can be fixed. Those are mechanical issues. Guess who also had those problems coming out of college? Josh Allen. And Josh Allen tearing it up with Buffalo right now.
Yeah.
So I think if he's there and the Vikings have a guy for the offensive line in the second round and they're comfortable doing that, I think you got to take a chance. I think, he could be a bust. Yeah, it could suck. But he also could be a generational type player, kind of like a Patrick Mahomes. He's got that ability. Can he put it together? We'll have to see. But you have to take the chance.
And Jimbo says, yes to Lance at 14, but he won't be there.
Yeah.
And I believe that too. And I really do. I'm just saying if somehow, some way, there's something they don't like, I think he's going to need more development. We're going to get more into this with Infinity rankings here coming up. But, we got more new zoners chiming. And you guess who it is, Voldy? We haven't seen this guy in a while.
Who's that?
Seymour.
Hey,
Knowing Zim, it'll be another damn corner. That's what it says. Which, again, I wouldn't be surprised, but just don't take Caleb Farley. I'm not a huge on Caleb, and like Mikey was saying too. But for the zoners chiming in, if you make your pick for who you want, who you think the Vikings are going to take, and you could get a free MinneZona sticker. Okay, Voldy's got stickers. I got the stickers. I gave Mikey some stickers. He's got them somewhere. So
I got
you
them
get
over
these
here.
free puppies, all right? So we'll get them to you, okay? So make your picks in the comment section, and you might win a free MinneZona sticker. So let's go. Matt says there's talk Barr could be converted to D-end, which would leave the pick to be O-line, which I'd be fine with. And I'd like to that'd be interesting.
Make up for him.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that, Voldy. I think that's interesting. Dylan Radens from NDSU. I've heard good things about him too. I wouldn't be opposed to that as well. I think Jimbo and I are on the same page. Let's remember Lance is only 20 years old. Exactly. And that's how I think, and I'll talk about that more here with Infinity Rankings. That'll be a lot of money to leave on the bench in Kirk Cousins. That's true. That's true. You got to factor that in as well. So, zoners, make your picks. You can win a free sticker as well. So please put it in the comment section, and we'll go from there. But anyway, Mikey, thanks again for coming on. It was fun as usual. I'm hoping your pick's right, and shoot, maybe you'll get another MinneZona sticker. So who knows?
Oh, yeah. I need them all.
So anyway, we'll keep track of the draft. We'll go from there. But Mikey, we'll be chatting. So we appreciate you coming on, and we'll have you on after the draft. Maybe give us some more analysis with it.
Sounds good. Thanks, gentlemen.
All right. Have a good one, Mikey.
All right,
Thanks
Mikey.
for coming
You
on.
too.
All right. So, Voldy, we got to get into one of our favorite segments. Obviously, it's time for Infinity Rankings. Now, we've been talking about possibly, all these everyone's been talking about the quarterbacks, okay? I'm going to give you my thoughts on where my rankings are at with these quarterbacks, okay? And there isn't much to switch up, Voldy, but at the same time, I've added a little wrinkle in this now. So it's going to be interesting to see how the zoners react. But let's get it going with some Infinity Rankings.
While many have power rankings, none have captured them all. It's time for Matty C's Infinity Rankings.
All right, Voldy, it is time for Infinity Rankings. We're ranking the top NFL draft quarterback prospects, and there isn't much change with this list. And obviously, I want your thoughts on this. I want the zoners' thoughts on this as well. But I've got a thought process. There's been a lot of talk about Mac Jones at number 3 going to the Niners, and I think it's a bunch of BS that the 49ers are putting up. I think they're putting smoke screen just to mess with people. But anyway, that's besides the point. But here are my top 6 guys coming out of the NFL draft. Oh, here we go. So let's start off with number 6. Voldy, why do I have Mac Jones at number 6? Well,
why?
Well, here's the reason why, Voldy and zoners. There haven't been a lot of great Alabama quarterbacks to come out of Alabama. And here's the thing. I was a big fan of the A.J. McCarron movement when he was coming out and whatnot. I wanted the Vikings to draft him, to be honest with you. But obviously, he's been a bona fide backup. Absolute bona fide backup. But you look at Greg McElroy, didn't really do anything as well, so you got to factor that in. Jalen Hurts was there briefly, and then Tua. I mean, Tua's been, there's still a lot to be put in. Okay, there's a lot to to understand with Tua now, but we'll see what happens. But the reason why I have Mac Jones at 6 is because it's something about Alabama quarterbacks that just don't go hand in hand. Right? I'm not saying he's going to be a complete bust. I'm just saying there are things I don't like. I don't like the lack of mobility. He had a bunch of superstars around him. I mean, you have Waddle, you have Smith and everything like that, which is great, and Harris. But, again, I just think a lot of people are overhyping him right now. And the reason why I have him at 6 is just because of that sole reason. But we'll see what happens. But let's see where he gets picked. If he gets picked at 3, I guess it wouldn't surprise me as much. But at the same time, I think it's a smokescreen. I really think it's a smokescreen. So that's my analysis with Mac Jones. But let me get to the zoners here. I know there are a lot chiming in here. I want to make sure I get to everyone. All I will say is the Niners are on the way, the truth and life. Everyone is fortunate to breathe in their smoke screens. All right, if that's
more on that coming up with ARA.
Yeah, more of that coming up.
Stick around, O'Keefe.
Yeah, there you go. Top shelf analysis. It's a bunch of smoke. Exactly. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. What adversity did Mac Jones have at Alabama? Not too much, I would imagine. I mean, I guess SEC is very, competitive, but then again, you have a lot of those stars. Can he make something out of nothing? That's my question. It's Alabama. Yeah, Alabama. Maybe it's Alabama. I don't know. I just think you got to factor in Alabama. The thing is they've won national championships with these guys too. So, that's another thing to bring up too. There was never a game this year that Mac Jones was ever uncomfortable. Let's see what happens when he is
all he had to do was just get the ball to his guys. That was it. If we've learned anything with Alabama quarterbacks, besides obviously Jalen Hurts and maybe Tua as well, those guys are game managers basically. Just get the ball into the hands of the running back, just complete a quick pass to the outside for the receivers, and they're going to do 95% of the work as well. I just think that's just the lay of the land. And, obviously I think Mac Jones at number 6 there is no surprise.
So, zoners, if you disagree, agree, let us know. All right, so moving on to our next Infinity Stone, Kyle Trask. Now, people are like, why Kyle Trask? He went to Florida. And here's the thing about Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask has actually put up really good numbers in the SEC. And that's the reason why I have him above Mac Jones, is because he's faced better. I feel like he's gone against better teams. And like you said, Voldy, like Seymour was saying, he's gone up against a lot of, I feel like he's gone against a lot of tougher teams. Alabama's had a lot of good old linemen, really, ever since their inception and whatnot. But, again, you got to look at the way Trask has played. He's going up against, he's had good games against Ole Miss. He's had good games against a lot of these schools that you would assume would crush, Florida. But honestly, Trask has had, his fair share of weapons too. Not saying that he's completely, out of the woods with this, but I think he is a better talent than Mac Jones. Now, obviously, Mac Jones was probably going to go before Trask, okay? And maybe I'm completely wrong about Trask. I don't know. You could probably ask Huntley for more analysis on Trask, but right now, I'd probably put Trask in front of Mac Jones at this point. And, he's 6'5", 239. I mean, he is a pretty good quarterback. He ran a 4.8, not great, but, for a quarterback. He had Kyle Pitts and whatnot, so he's played some good games in 2020. So let's factor that in as well with Kyle Trask. But we'll see what happens. Kyle Trask in high school was the backup QB to DeEnrique King. That is one heck of a name. That's pretty funny, actually. But yeah, he was a backup QB. There you go. So I don't know. I think Kyle Trask would be. All right, so Voldy, let's move on to our 4th Infinity Stone. Now, Trey Lance. I was debating on putting Lance at 3, but the reason why I have Lance at 4 is because we haven't seen enough of the kid yet. And the reason why is because COVID and everything, that factored into. He's only 20 years old, like Jimbo has said here. And it's something to where Lance is going to be a guy that's going to have to be developed over time. And I think he needs to be put in the right situation. And I almost feel like the 49ers really, I think they want to get Lance. Or I haven't heard much with Fields, but I'm thinking Lance, or if you want to still go with the smokescreen with Mac Jones, fine. But, people are saying, he's got the Tom Brady gene and whatnot. I'm like, whoa, let's pump the brakes here. That's absurd statement territory. But that I don't know. That's just odd to me. But I'm going to go Lance at 4. He needs a little bit more development. We got to see a little bit more in how he's going to progress. But I don't want him going into week 1 being a starter. That's kind of how I look at it. I think he needs more time to develop. That's just my humble opinion. So, all right, let's move on to number 3, Justin Fields. Now, why am I going Justin Fields here? I think he's got a lot of talent. I've seen this kid play. And yes, he went to Ohio State. We're not big fans of Ohio State here on the show, but we're throwing that at Joe Clement. Clement's there, Voldy. But at the same time, Justin Fields, there's a lot of things I like, but there's one thing that ails Ohio State is their quarterbacks. Voldy, they had Braxton Miller. They had Terrell Pryor. They had, Troy Smith, if you remember him as well. So the history there's the history there. And I think Jimbo even mentioned this last week. But there's a history there with Ohio State quarterbacks. But I do believe that Justin Fields could break that mold a little bit. And I think Atlanta's got to look at him a little bit. And obviously you still have Matt Ryan there. Maybe you give Fields a year or two to get his feet under him and go from there. So, if you think that he's going to be, I think he could definitely be a bust. I'll be honest with you. I think he could be a bust. Will he? It remains to be seen. But Justin Fields, I got at 3. All right, number 2, Zach Wilson. And, Voldy, Zach Wilson, I think has a lot of upside. Now, the question is, did he have enough competition when he was at BYU and everything like that? And people are saying his running ability and athleticism is to Johnny Manziel, but let's not act like Johnny Manziel here, folks. Like let's not go with Johnny Football with him. And honestly, I think Zach Wilson looks like Court Hansen. If you did a side-by-side of Zach Wilson and Court Hansen, they'd look the exact same. I know, Voldy, you're choking. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to have...
That's such a deep cut right there.
I know!
It's been bugging me, too, for a few days. Like, I know he looks like
He looks like Court Hansen. He looks like Court Hansen. Oh, my
God, that made my day.
Oh, good. I'm glad it did.
Fantastic.
I'm glad it did. He looks like Court Hansen. So I got to factor that in. But I think he's got a lot of mobility, and I think the Jets have to take this guy. They have to take this guy. If they're ever going to try and turn something around, they need a different type of quarterback, and I think Zach Wilson can be that guy. He hasn't thrown many interceptions in college, too, so you got to love that. You also have to, remember that if they're not committing a lot of turnovers, then I think you're A-okay. But, all right, before I get to 1, we got to get to the zoners. There's a lot of things going on here in our comment section. Jimbo says, I will go Lawrence 1, Fields 2, Wilson 3, Lance 4, Trask 5, 6, Jones. This is eerily similar to my... Oh, sorry, Voldy. Here you go. Yep. There we go. And I don't disagree. Here. I don't disagree. I like Wilson, though, at 2. I big fan of Wilson. Or Court Hansen, I should say. QBs with only one full season starting experience in college haven't panned out all that well. Mitch Trubisky, and Mark Sanchez. The Sanchez. As we like to say here on MinneZona Sports Live. At least Matt isn't on the same stuff as Chris Sims, who has Fields dropping to 32. I'm not saying Fields is going to drop to 32. I don't think he will. Easy A says bust, and bust. So is Lawrence the only guy that's going to do well? I don't know, Easy A. I think a couple of them will pan out. That's just me. Game is becoming more about the QB making plays with feet and being mobile. Exactly, and that's what Justin Fields does well. Don't disagree with that, but there's part of me that looks at this and says bust, but if he proves me wrong, I hope he does. Johnny Mans who? Exactly, Jack. Johnny Mans who? And then Jimbo says Wilson, Lance, and Jones only played 1 year of college football. which is a good point. I mean, you have to factor that in with COVID and everything, and how is this going to progress and whatnot, because some of these guys haven't really had a full, season and whatnot, and Lance has only played one game this year. I mean, for goodness sakes. But the last one, because we got to get to ARA here, Trevor Lawrence. This is an absolute no-brainer, Lawrence at number 1. We all know he's going to the Jags first, because the reason why they're taking him, he's got all the intangibles, okay? He's 6'6". I mean, the guy looks like Goldilocks with that flow that he has, Trevor Lawrence flow. And he's going to Jacksonville, which, I'm not a big fan of Urban Meyer. I really haven't been, because especially with some of the things I've heard, according to most sources, as Adam Schefter would like to say. But I think this is a no-brainer with Trevor Lawrence. This is like a franchise QB that you want to have on your team. Now, is there bust potential? Not really. I don't think you can go wrong on this. He's got a good work ethic. He's a leader. And I think things are going to pan out well for him in a Jaguars uniform. So, I mean, that's what I got. And obviously, it's nothing too, wrong one. Nothing too brash or anything. But, again, I just think Mac Jones at 6 is probably how I look at it. And if he proves us wrong, then he proves us wrong. And then we'll come right on the show and say, I'm sorry, Mac Jones, for doubting you. But anyway, Voldy, what are your thoughts on the rankings?
I think everybody but Trevor Lawrence is going to be is not going to be ready for the start of this year. I think it's going to take at least one full, NFL season for most of these guys to get fully adjusted to the game. Trevor Lawrence could be one of those guys. I don't know, but if they draft him at number 1, he's expected to be the guy most likely. I don't know how well Minshew Mania is going to hold out with Jacksonville, but Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. I think maybe Justin Fields might be ready to go. It just really all depends how many games into the year he's going to have to play if he does get drafted, say, to like San Francisco at 3 there. If he doesn't go in the top 2 picks, I mean, he may see some time. He may not. That's coming up with ARA that we're going to talk about a little bit more. Zach Wilson has just skyrocketed up everybody's draft boards here in the last couple of weeks. And, if the Jets take him at 2, I mean, that's good. He's expected to be the guy most likely.
Yep.
Now with Darnold out of the fold, and he's down in Carolina now. Obviously, with Trey Lance, I think it may take him a year. He's still young, like we've been mentioning and harping on. He's only 20 years old. I think NFL seasoning is going to do these guys a whole lot more good than bad, because it helped out in the case of Patrick Mahomes. He started, he didn't start officially until his second full year. He got a year to sit behind Alex Smith, and, a couple years later, AFC Championship, back to this, 2 appearances in the Super Bowl, 1 Super Bowl title, and 5-6 years now, 5 years into the league, I would think, or somewhere near there. I think he might be going into his 5th year off the top of my head. But I mean, it's just going to do more good for these guys that maybe not play right away. Unless you're Trevor Lawrence, you're expected to be the guy right off the bat. But I think where the wheel is set out with all the rankings and everything, I think that's where everybody needs to be at right now. Kyle Trask, I could care less about. I mean, he's probably going to go in there and he's going to be the guy, and he's going to, he's probably going to get the Peyton Manning treatment is what's going to happen. He's going to be the guy. He's going to get 2 wins. He's going to throw 40 interceptions, but they're going to run that horse out until, all the legs break on that bad boy, and just keep on trucking along wherever he ends up.
Keep on trucking along. And, one thing I want to bring up, too, I forgot to bring this up when Mikey was here, but apparently there's been some reports that Vikings have looked at some of, not the top tier, well, I mean, obviously if they drop, but, like, not those 6 guys that I mentioned, but after, like, a Kellen Mond,
right,
guy, back there, just to see how it pans out, which I wouldn't be completely against, but honestly, there's really, you can do a lot of moving with this. And obviously, a lot of these teams are looking for the next Patrick Mahomes. I really believe some of that. And they're like, oh, he's got the mobility like Mahomes. He's got the, he can throw bombs. I mean, Zach Wilson can bomb the ball. I mean, he has an unreal arm. Court Hansen, maybe not so much, but at the same, I had to throw that cheap shot at Court. But anyway, there is some bust potential with some of these guys, and obviously the last guy that came out of NDSU was Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz hasn't. He had a couple good years now. He hasn't panned out. He gets straight to the Colts, but maybe he can be revived. But I think this is a different situation. I think Trey Lance is going to have some developing to do and go from there. So there's that as well. Jimbo says, Wild up 3-1 on the Blues after 2. Hey. Let's go. Obviously, we'll definitely get more into Wild, hopefully, next week once the draft's over. But we got
playoffs, baby.
Playoffs, let's go. Zach Wilson can throw from all platforms. That's why he's so valued at the moment. Bingo.
There you
go. Gotta love it. So, anyway, that'll do it for Infinity Rankings. Voldy, we need to get to ARA. There are some draft stories within this. Then there's some. We're also getting to the other sports as well in ARA. So let's get it going with some absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, Jimbo's got something for us here. Hold on. One second. Hold on. Easton Stick came out of NDSU 2 years ago. Hasn't gotten a shot, but you never know. If he gets a shot, we'll see what happens. But anyway.
He's got to fight past Justin Herbert in San Diego,
that'll be.
Or Los Angeles, wherever the hell they are nowadays.
Yeah, wherever the heck they are. Who knows? But, anyway, let's get it going with some absurd or approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
We stick here with some NFL draft action as well. We've been alluding to it. We've been talking about the quarterbacks pretty much all night with the draft. And, well, if we've learned anything, San Francisco has no idea who their quarterback is going to be. Obviously, they got Jimmy Garoppolo. But beyond that, NFL still has yet to decide, or I should say the 49ers, have yet to fully decide where they are comfortable drafting at the number 3 spot in the draft. Obviously, they do have the number 3 pick. There's 5 guys that they're looking at, and yet Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch are looking at it. They've got all their cards on the table, and they're not ruling out a single person. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. They're all right there in the mix as well. Not 100% sure about where they're going to go as in that respect, but they don't feel comfortable enough to let everybody know who they're aiming at as well. So my question to you is, DJ Matty C, is who are the 49ers going to draft, and is Jimmy G going to be there longer past training camp for the San Francisco 49ers?
Two-parter. I love your two-parters. There's a part of me that thinks they're not going to take Mac Jones. And I know a lot of people are thinking, well, Shanahan really likes all these reports. But like I said, and I think Jack would agree with me since he is a 49ers fan, is that I think it's smokescreen. I really think it's smokescreen with Mac Jones so they can go and draft, I'm going to say it, Trey Lance. I think they're going to draft Trey Lance. They're going to develop him and see where it goes. I think Shanahan might. They're definitely taking a quarterback. Now, why? They really kind of have done Jimmy G dirty a little bit. I mean, obviously, the guy's had some injury issues, but he did take them to a Super Bowl. But he also had issues. The running game was really good, though. We have to admit that with Shanahan. But at the same time, man, the guy can't get a break. But maybe, and again, we might be going over our PG-13 rating here. But, I mean, maybe Jimmy G shouldn't be dating all these porn stars and everything like that and start,
California, man, it's free love.
That's true point.
The Bay Area.
I mean, the guy's he's a very good-looking guy, so you got to love Jimmy G. But I just feel like they've really done him dirty, and he's probably not. They probably won't say it, but I don't think he's happy with the situation right now. So, Voldy, I think it's got my stamp of approval. I think he's going to be traded, and I don't think he will be in training camp. And there's always that infatuation that Shanahan has with Kirk Cousins too. I know that was brought up a couple times, but it's something to where we have to factor this all in and say, okay, let's see what happens first. But if they're not able to trade Jimmy G the first, they're somehow, some way they're gonna trade Jimmy G. They don't like the way that he's been going so far, but I don't know. I just feel like they've done Jimmy G dirty. That's just my opinion. But, it's got they're going to take a quarterback. I think it's going to be Lance. And I think Jimmy G is going to be traded. Watch out for the Patriots. Voldy, you might be getting Jimmy G back.
I'd be perfectly all right with that. Him and Cam, 1-year deal with Cam Newton. I mean, I wouldn't be too mad about that overall to get him back into the fold. I think that San Fran is going to probably be getting, I want to say they're going to get Justin Fields. I think that's going to be a good enough situation right there. I think that's going to be a little bit of a change of pace for San Francisco, maybe a little bit more buildy, a little bit more up-tempo on the offense for Shanahan, especially for the type of offense that he wants to run. Obviously, Trey Lance would be a good spot for him too, but I think it's going to be Trevor Lawrence, then Zach Wilson, and then possibly Justin Fields in that order for the top 3 picks. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if somebody else squeezed up in between those 2 picks at the number 2 spot, but I think Justin Fields going to San Francisco, in my mind, makes sense, but some of our draft experts out there will probably say I'm completely full of it and I've gone off my rocker with everything. As for the Jimmy G situation, again, we've talked about it. San Francisco's done him dirty. Yes, the injuries have happened, but you can't control that. Got to be able to protect the guy in the first place. And, well, let's just say things haven't always worked out for him in that respect with the protection. And then you start with him hurt. Then you get guys like Nick Mullins in there, C.J. Beathard for a couple of years in San Fran before they got Jimmy G. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised he ends up getting traded before or after training camp. I think at least it's going to be at some point during this season that Jimmy G gets traded. Hopefully back to New England. That'd be great to see.
I know, and the thing is Belichick coveted Jimmy G, and I think there's something brewing. I got a feeling there's something brewing in New England too, and I think they've been talking. But at the same time, I think they're drafting a quarterback now. If it's Fields, if it's Lance, nonetheless, they're going to be drafting a quarterback. Plain and simple. So we'll see what happens. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we go back to our Minnesota Vikings, and obviously with the rule change that has been for player positions to expanding and the relaxing of the rule limits, well, lo and behold, one of the big first names to make a number change going into the next season was recent offseason signing, that being Patrick Peterson for the Minnesota Vikings, switching from his customary number 21 that he wore for all those years with the Arizona Cardinals. He's going back to the good old days in purple and gold at LSU. He's going to wear it number 7 for the Minnesota Vikings, and this certainly does bring up a few things as well, besides the fact of the new number, taking away from Nate Stanley, who switched numbers, and the little bit of the conversation that led to the number being changed, and some of the negotiations that went with that. Absurd or approved, Patrick Peterson switching to number 7 for the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, Voldy, we talked about this before the show, and again, you and I are kind of both under the impression like it's kind of weird. It's going to get hard to get used to, is what we're saying here. But it's got my stamp of approval. I kind of like this. I like this move because, yes, we know Mike Hughes is number 21, but honestly, I think you should give it to Patrick Peterson, to be honest. I mean, he's the guy. But at the same time, Patrick Peterson wearing number 7, it's unique. I like it. Now, Voldy, I know number 7 is very near and dear to your heart because we remember Keenum's Keepers. Case Keenum wore that number as well. And we'll never forget it. We'll never forget him wearing that number. Now, if you do have, don't put tape over it and put, Peterson, but at the same, you can't do that to Case Keenum. You can't do Case Keenum dirty. We love Case Keenum here on MinneZona Sports Live.
That we do.
But let's get back to Pete here. There are jerseys available, by the way, for Pat Pete. Go to the Vikings locker room, Fanatics, wherever you go to get your jerseys. But I like this. The reason why it's unique, and he's one of the first players to actually do this now, too, because, it's something different. We got to see a little bit of different in the NFL. Dalvin was thinking about, but he had to pay a bunch of money for it. But the gesture that he gave to Nate Stanley and said, look, I'm going to donate all this money for, I forgot what it was.
Shoulder pads.
Shoulder pads, that's right. Shoulder pads.
Menominee High School in Wisconsin. Let's go.
Menominee High School. We love it. So, Patrick Peterson, that is a leader move by Patrick Peterson, and we love Patrick Peterson for it, just so he could get that number 7 number. Nate, I bet he talked to Nate saying, hey, man, I'll do whatever you need me to do and whatnot. So, according to the zoners, it's got their stamps of approval. Easy A says approved. Jimbo says approved as well. I like it. It's gonna be it'll be hard to get used to per se, but I think over time we'll just be like, just a number and whatnot. But Pat Pete, I like that number 7. I think it's fresh. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Like we said, it's going to be a weird adjustment. And obviously, he's the first guy to publicly come out and say that he's switching numbers. There's been some other guys that have been rumored to say that they might switch their numbers. But seeing a defensive back wear number 7 that isn't in college, that's going to be weird. But especially with the history that goes along with wearing number 7, especially at LSU. There have been some ballers that have come out of that school wearing number 7. Obviously Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, Leonard Fournette wore number 7 as well at LSU. Now you got to feel good for all the LSU fans that still have their Patrick Peterson number 7 jerseys. They're going to be able to, recycle those and wear them out once again and wear them with some pride. Again, it's got my stamp of approval. It's a little weird to start off. It's just one of those that you're just gonna have to get used to and see how many other guys are gonna be following the same suit and going in that route to maybe change numbers. But if we've learned anything with the whole Dalvin Cook situation, some guys are gonna have to pony up, especially with how popular they are.
Justin Jefferson had the opportunity to switch to number 2. Now, He decided not to do that, and the thing is, Voldy, I waited a long time for that jersey. Remember?
Yeah.
That's kind of a big thing with me, and I appreciate Justin Jefferson for doing that because, again, it would have been kind of a pain in the butt to try and get that switched, but maybe the Vikings locker room would throw me a bone or something like that. But like you said, Voldy, I like it. It's got my stamp of approval. Let's see how it goes. But again, number 7, Keenum's keepers, baby. That's all I got to say about that. But anyway, next one, Voldy.
Well, earlier this week, it was quite the performance for Madison Bumgarner as he pitched the second game of a doubleheader against the Atlanta Braves, which he was playing for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Went all 7 innings, complete game effort, and didn't give up a single hit. Now, in most situations, a complete game no-hit effort would be constituting a no-hitter. Well, unfortunately, under Major League Baseball's record book, that's not an actual thing. 7 no-hit innings, congratulations. It's not a no-hitter, even though it's an official game in the record book that is Major League Baseball. But unfortunately, that's not the case this time with the fact that Madison Bumgarner went the distance, didn't give up a single hit, not going to get credit for a no-hitter. Is it absurd or approved Major League Baseball not counting the no-hitter in a specifically designed game that's only 7 innings in the second half of a doubleheader? Both games were 7 innings. Let's put that out there.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a no-hitter, even if it is specifically a 7-inning game.
It should be a no-hitter. I think it's absurd that they didn't give it to him. The reason why I say that, and yes, there's 2 innings left, but this is what the MLB did. They said, well, the 7 innings. Give it to him. Just give it to him. How many times have we waited for, players to get that honor? And there's been some pitchers that have been screwed over by a couple of these, too. But, again, just give it to him. We're going on, we're in this we're still in this pandemic. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but we're still in this pandemic and everything like that. You've altered the rules in the games, 2 7-inning games. Give it to him. Why the hell not? I mean, what does it hurt to give a guy a no-hitter and put it on there? I just think it's absurd. Just give it to him. I don't see a big deal with if he can't go 2 more, and obviously, there's still 2 more innings. I get that. And here's another thing. He pitched pretty well. You know what a certain team could use, too? Pitching! The Minnesota Twins as well. But
had the chance with Bumgarner, didn't
they
get him.
did! Like you said, Voldy, and I've got the soundbite here.
He had his chance, and he blew it.
He had his chance, and he blew it. Easy A says, it's absurd. He got boned. Yeah, I'd say that. Jimbo says, nope, not a no-hitter. The rules are the rules. Okay.
Whatever.
I like the...
Shut up, Grandpa.
Yeah, there you go. Typical Manfred move, as Mets is saying right now. How about we just play 9? We just play 9 in doubleheaders. I don't know. You have to ask Manfred. They apparently, the MLB doesn't know what they're doing half the time anymore. But yeah, Jimbo says LOL. I love it. But anyway, Voldy, what do you think?
Look, this is what Major League Baseball has done to itself. We've been talking about it since we started doing the show. They keep coming up with all these new rules. Everybody gets into the playoffs. Everybody gets a trophy. And then when stuff like this happens, then they just basically, if they have any toes left on their feet, they're all gone down because they just keep shooting them off.
Yep.
This is another situation. Second game of a doubleheader. If it's recognized as an official game, which is 6 innings. An official game is all the way through 6 innings. If a guy throws 6 complete innings, doesn't give up a hit, that should be a no-hitter. Say if it gets rained out, or if it has to end early because of that weather related thing or anything going on, should be recognized as a no-hitter because that officially marks a game. And again, Major League Baseball wanted to make more of a point to play more doubleheaders, weather related or not. Just so happens to be that this happened, and they got it wrong once again. I think it's completely absurd that Bumgarner doesn't have credit for a no-hitter.
But Jimbo says the rules are the rules. I don't know. I think the rules are stupid. That's what I think. But at the same time, I agree with you, Vol. I think it's absurd. Give the guy the no-hitter. And, if we didn't have cheap boners like the poll ads, maybe he'd be a Twin. So there's that. But anyway, that's all in the past. I just like ripping the Twins. By the way, 3-2. The Wild are still winning over the Blues. 16-11 left. Let's close this one out. Dollar Bill Kirill. Let's close this out, my guy. Let's do it. All right. Anyway, next one, Voldy.
Well, if we've learned anything about the NBA here in the last couple of days, in the last month, Steph Curry is still good. Just set a record for most threes in a calendar month. He hit 85, and he's still going. There's still tonight, tomorrow, and also Friday to add on to his now record of 85 plus threes, surpassing a previous record held by James Harden as well. Not too often we get to talk about basketball or Steph Curry, but is it absurd or approved with the way things are going around now with Steph Curry turning things up? Does that mean that the Golden State Warriors going to make a bigger second half comeback and maybe solidify a even better position in the postseason?
Now, I'm going to say this right now. Steph Curry is one of the best. I think he could be the top shooter in the NBA of all time. This guy, I tell you what, is insane. And right now, during this month, reading this article and everything like that, he's averaged this month 38.5 points. 38.5 points. And this is without, now let's remember, this is without Klay Thompson. He's had some injury issues and whatnot. But the chef is cooking. Chef Curry with the shot. Boy, he is unreal. And obviously, Steph is their whole team right now, and people are chanting MVP and everything like that. But honestly, the guy is just I just can't. I can't think of anybody else. I mean, you know, obviously there's some people that you could throw in there as well, being a better shooter. But I truly believe Steph Curry is the best shooter in the NBA has ever seen. That is just my opinion. But the chef is cooking. Can he make the playoff? Yeah. I mean, Steve Kerr has done a great job. I mean, Draymond's still, you know, producing at a high level as well. He's averaging a lot of assists, and even though a lot of his antics I don't approve of with Draymond, and I think sometimes he says some stuff that he shouldn't. But getting towards Steph, it's got my stamp of approval. I really think Golden State has a chance to get into the play-in deal for the playoffs and everything. You know, it's a little different now, and apparently they want to make it permanent as well. But
of course they do.
I think you know, things are looking up for the Warriors, and obviously they'll have a top pick, you know, depending on how the Wolves finish too, because, you know, it's a top 3 protected, but unprotected, whatever it is. But anyway, you know, Chef Curry is cooking, and I think if he keeps this up, yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. And will they make some noise? They very well could. So, but anyway, I'd say it's got my stamp of approval. Watch out. And the thing is it's hard to get Curry on a cold streak. So there's that too. But Voldy, what do you think?
You know, I find that finally it's an opportunity for Steph Curry to take over the reins, especially the fact that him missing out on last year too, because Golden State, not exactly the greatest team last year. Klay Thompson, it feels like Klay Thompson's been out for like 3 years with all the injuries that he's had. Going in and having an actual full off season to work with, as opposed to getting all the way through the regular season, all the way through the Western Conference, and all the way through the NBA Finals, and then you only got like 2-3 months before, you know, the start of the next season. A full off season, rest, recuperate, fine-tune a couple of things, get cleared up with some surgery and everything. I think that's paid out. We haven't seen numbers like this, obviously, since the golden era of Golden State, pun intended with that one too, when they were just grabbing titles left and right and just setting records all over the place. I think this could be a real big deal. Obviously, they sit at the number 10 spot right now with a even 500 record, 31-31, with only a handful of games left before they go into this play-in playoff format, whatever the heck they're doing this year. But I think even if they do get Klay Thompson back here in time for the end of the season and also for the start of the postseason too, if and when that happens, I think that's going to be a real good benefit. I think it's time for Golden State to play the role of the underdog and see what they can do with it too. So we'll see what happens. I think it's got my stamp of approval. Things are going to turn around for them.
Yeah, and, you know, obviously now the Golden State bandwagoners are going to start hopping on here soon.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Matt says, hard to guard somebody 40 feet from the basket.
True.
It's true. I mean, he can hit from anywhere. And I think Draymond had a quote here I was reading. He goes, I mean, honestly, he's shooting into an ocean. You know, it's just somehow the rim just gets bigger with, you know, Kurt whenever he's shooting. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So, all right, I believe last one, Voldy.
Yeah, here's an interesting one that's come through. You know, Major League Baseball likes to change all the rules and everything and make it more fan-friendly. Well, this one I actually am on board with for once, because extra innings has been a sore note for Major League Baseball with, you know, adding the runner on second base into extra innings and all that and try to get winners as quick as possible. Well, Major League Baseball, in a recent partnership with an independent league, the Pioneer League, they've decided to experiment with a rule of a first of its kind knockout rule that will resolve games tied after 9 innings with a sudden death home run derby. Now, this is something that is quite very interesting, as they're experimenting with a designated pinch hitter rule, among other things as well. But this is the big one that jumps out in everybody's mind: a sudden death home run derby to determine a winner if a game is tied after 9 innings. Absurd or approved, the Pioneer League going all in on a knockout finish to any contest tied after 9 innings.
Stamp of approval. And the reason why I say that is because it's something different. And you need something a little bit more, I feel like, more exciting. And this is exciting. And it says, again, under the rule, each team designates a hitter who receives 5 pitches. with the game determined by the most home runs hit. If it's still tied after the first knockout round, another hitter is selected for a sudden death home run face-off until a winner is declared. I think this is something the MLB, and obviously the Pioneer League is a partner with the MLB, but, as we both know, Voldy, with the MLB, you never know what you're going to get. They might consider it, and then they'll do it, and then they'll be like, we don't like it, or something stupid like that. But I think this is perfect to experiment with, especially in the Pioneer League, and this is, at the minor league level, it makes sense. And obviously, I think people want to see, this home run, see home runs, and that's what they want. They want more home runs, and that's what makes sense with this. And I think they could do it, and I believe they can do it, in the regular season, but can they do that in the playoffs? And I don't think they should. I really don't think they should do it in the playoffs if the MLB were ever to do it, because you want to have that game decided by, obviously extra innings and everything like that. You want those walk-offs. And we all love walk-off hits, home runs, all that fun stuff. But, again, I like this to experiment with. I don't know if it's going to get into the MLB, because who knows with the MLB, but it's a great idea. I like it, and I think Mets is even agreeing with me here, saying just not in the playoffs. So I'm glad that Mets and I are on the same page, and usually we're not on the same page on a lot of things. But anyway, yep, stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
I am a huge fan of this.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to make it to Major League Baseball, say, next year? I highly doubt it, just because of the fact it's a sideshow act is what it is. This is what independent baseball really is.
Yeah.
If we've learned anything in the past from the likes of before they were the AAA affiliate for the Twins, the St. Paul Saints, this is the type of stuff that they would do, and I think it's great. Major League Baseball investing in the Pioneer League as a major league partner to, possibly revitalize a few careers, or maybe send guys down there to possibly find their game a little bit more. This is very interesting, and I think that they're onto something. I just don't know when it's going to be coming to Major League Baseball, if ever, but something to look into, because of the fact that Major League Baseball wants as quick results as possible, get fans more and more interested and more excited about the game. And, sometimes you got to blur the lines of the original game itself in order for things to happen like that. So it's got my stamp of approval otherwise.
Yep, stamp of approval all around. It seems like the zoners are liking it too. So, but anyway, hey, I think, the MLBs look into it and see what happens, but who knows? That's the MLB. So, All right, I think that'll do it for Air Raid this week. Great job as always, Voldy. We got to get to Shield Shoutouts. We've got some good ones here for Shield Shoutouts, so we're almost we're not done yet. We're not done yet, so get ready, because it's time for some Shield Shoutouts.
Shield Shoutouts.
And just another update on the Wild game. It's 3-3 now.
Hey,
Yikes. Come on now, man. All right, Voldy, who are you shouting out tonight?
Well, first off, I just got to give a big thank you to the mother of my child, Mrs. Sarah Ann Tooswald, creative consultant, for sewing of the captain's patch here on my Daniil Hunter jersey as well. Got a few others in the process. We're getting cleaned up and fine-tuned as well, so stay tuned for more of that. So big Shield shout-out to the missus as well for that. Couple interesting shout-outs here for this week. Got to give a shout-out to Henderson Silver Knights goaltending coach Fred Brathwaite. Now, Fred, in the past, was a former NHL goaltender, did bounce around a little bit. Last appeared for a team that no longer exists with the Atlanta Thrashers. Now, the Henderson Silver Knights are the American Hockey League affiliate for the Vegas Gold Knights. Henderson, Vegas right next to each other, silver, gold right next to each other. Well, in an emergency goalie situation, we usually see it at least once a year. He ended up having to suit up Saturday night in a contest as well as the emergency goalie, still had everything that he needed at the age of, now get this, Fred Brathwaite, 48 years and 5 months. And, well, unfortunately didn't go Fred's way and suffering a 4-1 loss on the likes of Saturday night. But a valiant effort overall. And usually in situations like that, you never see guys actually get out onto the ice. We did have Scott Ayers, last year and the year before everything got shut down because of COVID with the likes of the Carolina Hurricanes. He was the emergency goalie as well in that contest. But a big Shield shout out to Fred getting one more shot between the pipes and unfortunately couldn't get it done with the Henderson Silver Knights. So big Shield shout out goes out to him. We do wish a happy retirement to Dallas Cowboys linebacker Sean Lee, who decided to hang them up and retire after a career that was riddled with injuries in the later half of his career. Man, I love the fact when he got drafted right out of college, I think he was a Penn State guy. I thought that he was going to be one heck of a player for his entire career. And, man, he did make some plays for some Cowboy teams that were very interesting, to say the least. They had you on the edge of their seat each and every year. Hopefully he gets into coaching someday. I would certainly see him, because when he wasn't on the field, he was definitely coaching them up on the sidelines. One of my favorite players when he was coming out of the college, and also still loved watching him play even with the Dallas Cowboys. So a big Shield shout out goes out to Sean Lee in his retirement from the NFL. And a big Shield shout out, of course, a couple days ago, this was announced that Turner Sports, people that, own like the channels of True TV, TNT, those stations like that. Well, Turner Sports and the NHL are coming together to broadcast games for the NHL starting this coming season, 2021-22, which does include the Winter Classic and 3 Stanley Cup finals between Turner Sports and also ESPN. A 7-year deal that could quite possibly also lead to the return of the World Cup of Hockey. Turner Sports and ESPN investing in the game of hockey that has been sorely needed in the last few years. Obviously, NBC Sports has picked up the slack in certain areas, but now that we got 2 major networks coming together to put the product that is fantastic, to say the least, and provide more opportunities, as they've done for the past for the NBA, Major League Baseball, and all that stuff, really will help out and hopefully even grab more attention for the NHL and maybe even other endeavors as well. That's going to do it for Shield shoutouts this week.
Oh, I love it. And obviously, having more places to air hockey games and things like that, I think that ESPN now with Turner Sports Network, hey, well, let's go. Let's play. Let's drop the puck, as they like to say. And then Sean Lee. Sean Lee, when he was healthy, he was damn good. He was very, very, very good. The thing is, obviously with injuries, concussions, I think he even tore his ACL once or twice, or whatever it was. But, man, that was But he did have a really good career, and I think, the Cowboys are grateful for his time there in Dallas. But anyway, great job with Shield shoutouts, as always, Voldy. We love it. And but we're not done yet. And obviously,
we're not.
We got to bring up a couple things. If you haven't known already, we have the draft tomorrow, the NFL draft tomorrow, okay? And if you predict the right player that the Vikings are going to take at 14, if they trade back and still take the same player. Anyway, you get a free sticker. Who doesn't want a free sticker? We've already had some zoners chime in and get those stickers are raring to go. Voldy's got some. I've got some. They're going to start flying off the shelf, because they're that great. But if you don't, if you just want to pay for one, $2 for the small ones, $3 for the big ones. You know the deal. The bumper stickers, window decals, just a bigger sticker. The small little stickers, they're great too. $2 as well. So, and again, thank you to Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson, National Fleet Graphics for the stickers as well. We love it. And also, zoners, sweatshirts, $40, $5 shipping. I think we have enough to order in bulk. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll refer to Jimbo on that one. We're getting there. If we need more, we can get more. And the zoners, I think, are loving these guys. These sweatshirts are awesome. $40, $5 shipping. Talk to me. Talk to Voldy. Talk to Jimbo. Talk to the Curve Doctor. But also, we have shirts, $20, $5 shipping. All of his owners love the shirts. I mean, I'm wearing the shirt. I'm wearing the sweatshirt and the shirt right now. I mean, I'm all zoned out today, baby. We love it here on MinneZona Sports Live. So, but anyway, make sure to check out W2 Performance, the Barbell Nerds. Will Rattel's got some new content out, and as well, he's got stickers, $2 if you want to check that out as well. Will Rattel and W2 Performance, the Barbell Nerds, and then make sure to check out Got 5 orders. We'll order them now. Let's go. Hey. We're stoked.
There we go.
We're stoked. So anyway, we love it. We love it. And enjoy your sweatshirts. We'll get them to you. Anyway, check out Jack's Junkyard. He has now with apparel as well. Correct me if I'm wrong if Jack's still tuning in. But make sure you check that out as well. He's got apparel. He'll get you set up. Check out Jack's Junkyard.
Dude, he's got apparel and merch like crazy. He's making us look like scrubs, man.
Well, that just means,
it.
yeah, we
I need to get on that too. I'm sending him some stuff too, so I gotta get on that
as well.
Jack's Junkyard stuff.
And then also another thing before we wrap this up: Breaking Into the League podcast with Sam Gabrielli, Ryan Martin. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcast. They're talking about the up and coming NHL prospects, and obviously we had our segment with Gabs last week. You can check that out on YouTube as well. And hopefully, Voldy, I happen to notice something too. I think Gabs got your last name wrong. Right?
Yeah, he did. Huh. Yep, we'll let him slide on that.
We'll let it slide. We'll let it slide. And, we love Gabs. We love Gabs, but Gabs, it's Vold. V-O-L-D. V-O-L-D. That's all we need, Gabs. But anyway.
New to the brand.
Hey, you know what?
New to the brand.
You're still... We'll get over it. But if it happens more than once, we're coming for you. No, anyway. But anyway, all in good fun. But anyways, great job as always, Voldy. Draft tomorrow. We'll be keeping in touch. I got to work the night shift, but I will be getting updates on my phone to see where the Vikings are at with the draft and everything like that. So,
no Grey's Anatomy this week, so I'll be locked in on the draft, hopefully.
Exactly. You got to appeal to that too. So, but anyway, as always, remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.